Hello, and welcome to Spectral Searches. To further investigate the equipment being used for ghost hunting, I thought I'd introduce another commonly used method and device. This would be the documentation of electronic voice phenomena, or EVPs. EVPs are recordings of ghosts, spirits, and other paranormal events using sensitive recording devices that are able to amplify the sounds recorded to allow for the paranormal investigator to hear them. So how are these phenomena recorded? To dive into this, we need to cover some history and theories on not just electronic recordings, but on spirit communication and auditory communication devices. The history of auditory communication devices can be traced back to the spiritualist religious movement as early as the 1840s. Seances were popular, and psychics and spiritualists would often have spirits and ghosts communicate through the medium themselves and also through a device known as a spirit trumpet. There's been a number of theories on how this could happen, ranging from the vessel hearing the voices in their ears, in their head, being possessed by the spirit utilizing and manipulating the vocal cords, or treating their own vocal cords through physical manifestation of ectoplasm. In this last example, the spirit or ghost would not require the medium physically, and the trumpet could be left in the middle of the circle. One important spiritualist was Jonathan Koons. Jonathan Koons performed seances in a spirit room, with onlookers watching as the seances occurred. In his room, his son would accompany the seance at the table. It was suggested by Brandon Hodge that it was Jonathan Koons' son that probably invented the spirit trumpet as a means to amplify the voices heard during seances. This is said to be because the spirits were too soft-spoken to be heard throughout the spirit room. The first spirit trumpets would have been homemade and could have been made out of metal, cardboard, or other materials and were simply narrow cone structures. As these devices became more popular, they developed telescoping cones and even some with glow-in-the-dark rings on the ends. The best-known manufacturer of the spirit trumpet is Everett Atwood Eckel, who commercialized his version of the spirit trumpet made out of tin. The spirit trumpet is important because it was an initial demonstration in theory that ghosts and spirits require amplification of their speech due to being too soft-spoken. It wasn't until 1956 that Attila von Szalay and Raymond Bayless first believed to have caught the voices of the dead on recording. He then began attempting to record the voices in 1941 using a 78 RPM recorder, but switched the reel-to-reel recorders to achieve greater recording. Some of the earliest recordings included voices saying, "This is G, hot dog art," and "Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's to all." In 1959, Frederick Yerkson was recording bird songs and reviewing them later thought he heard his dead father, wife, and mother's voices. In 1968, Konstantin Radlivin published his book Breakthrough, an amazing experiment in electronic communication with the dead, that encompassed his research with Yerkson that covered more than 100,000 recordings that he described as communication with discarnate people. He invited others to listen to the recordings and interpret them. He felt that the recordings were so clear that they could not be explained by normal means. In the 1980s, more development was put into the spirit comm, ghost box, or spirit boxes. However, we'll save those for another day. Interest and evidence of EVP that have been explicitly recorded electronically have spanned from the 1940s all the way through to now. From individuals documenting full conversations with deceased loved ones, spirits, and even extraterrestrials. There's even the American Association of Electronic Voice Phenomena, the AAEVP, a non-profit organization created with the purpose of increasing awareness of EVPs and standardizing the methods of capturing them, founded by Sarah Estem. So what are EVPs really? In 1995, Tom Flynn, a media expert for the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry, theorized that occasionally, especially with older tapes and under humid conditions, as the tape travels in a recording device, it can adhere to one of the guideposts. When this happens on a deck where both supply and take-up spindles are powered, the tape continues to feed, creating a fold. These loops of tape are threaded in such a way that it causes the phenomenon. However, nowadays, most paranormal investigators are performing with digital recorders, not tape recorders. Some suggest that listening to EVPs and hearing voices an ability that not all have, and it can be like learning a new language. Others suggest that EVPs are just misinterpretations of natural phenomena, such as the inadvertent influence on electronic devices or deliberate influencing by the researchers or third parties. So are EVPs communications with deceased loved ones, relatives, or strangers? Are they fluctuations in recording devices? Are they simply confirmation biases, where small noises are heard and attributed to conversation, when in reality they are separate and distinct from the situation? In 2005, the Journal of the Society of Psychical Research published a report by Alexander McRae. McRae conducted EVP sessions using a device of his own making. To demonstrate that the EVPs were legitimate, he had 7 people listen to the recordings and choose the best match from 5 phrases provided. McRae concluded that the results of the panels indicated that the recordings were of paranormal origin. Spectral Searches approaches EVPs in a similar way. The process is outlined as follows for the SaveTech EVP digital voice recorder. While our SOP does go through a lot of the standardized methods of operating the device itself, we will be skipping straight to the communication through the SaveTech EVP digital recorder. Note: when communicating with spirits, ghosts, entities, always leave time after each question to allow for answers. Too many questions back to back will make it difficult to distinguish if there are responses. 1. Start the digital recorder as described above. 2. Document the time of the session. 3. Open the communication by stating your intentions, respect, and introductions. Hello, my name is... We come here with respect and would like to communicate with you. 4. Open with the standard communications. Is there anyone there? Can you make your presence known? Can you make a noise? 5. Utilizing any known information, such as nature of the entity, ghost, spirit, etc., make more specific inquiries. If you're in a jail, inquire about the jail or the experience. If you're speaking to a child, be sure to address them as such. 6. If another means of communication is going to be used, instruct the ghost, spirit, how to communicate. Example, if you're switching to a spirit box, let the entity, ghost, or spirit know. 7. When finishing with the investigation, always thank the spirit and let them know that you will be leaving. Interpretation of results. All results are recorded on the evidence analysis checklist prior to confirmation. EVP results are confirmed by placing 3 recordings in a row, 2 of which are not suspected to have a result. Consult 2 people with 3 recordings to determine if anything has been detected. If there is unanimous agreement, document on the evidence file card. If it is not unanimous, 2 out of 3 hear a response. Disclose which track is thought to have a response. If it is not unanimous and only 1 out of 3 hear a response, it is not considered a true response. Documentation of hearing the voices from beyond our plane spans centuries, if not millennia. Utilizing auditory communication devices to amplify those voices go back to the 1840s, and recording them goes back to the 1940s. And while it's not clear what these disembodied voices are or how they are produced, it is clear that people have believed in them for a very long time. Many people have utilized amplification of recordings to hear the voices of dead loved ones, spirits, or more. With recording equipment increasing in quality, we can only hope that this evidence continues to develop. So, in order to keep our net of evidence as wide as possible, we will continue to utilize recordings of electronic voice phenomena in our spectral searches.